Wouldn't you like to be able to play any tune you hear without having to be able to read music or memorize a bunch of finger numbers? I'll give you some tips in this video. Don't get me wrong, I love being able to read music. I know a lot of tunes, and having them written down helps me be able to keep them straight. I can also play parts if the fiddle part is kind of buried or it's a harmony line that isn't so strong. I can just read the music and learn it that way. Or to be able to play music that I've never even heard before. That's also cool. And as far as memorizing finger numbers goes, I have some tricks for that, and it's actually kind of fun, but it seems like an awful lot of work to go through to learn just one simple tune, or even a fancy tune. So let's work some more on learning by ear. Hey, this is Ruth Rowland with another installment in the Play by Ear series. We've been over same or different, up or down, steps and skips. And now this video is about hearing the distance between notes, whether it's a large distance like this or a shorter distance. Now, I've talked about the benefit of scales, but there's something else that can help you hear or sense the distance between notes, and that is singing the notes. So, for instance, these notes, which I played first. Feel if it feels like a large distance to sing. No. And I would say yes. No. Or this one that I also played. It doesn't feel like very far. It doesn't feel like I have to do much to get to that second note. Now, if you're still working on matching the tune that you hear with your voice, you're not alone, and I can help you with that, but that's a whole different issue. So leave a note if you would like help with that, but in the comments. For right now, it's assuming that you can do this, and it takes practice. No, feel the distance that your voice travels. So we're going to do a test first. Before I give you any other tricks besides having practiced your scales and singing the tune, I'm going to play the two notes twice, and you sing them back and decide whether you're traveling far or near. Now, all these distances between notes, steps, skips, leaps of various sizes, near ones, far ones, all of these are called intervals, and each interval has a name. They're named for the step they are on the staircase. So if you remember our musical staircase from the steps and skips lesson, if we number the steps, 1, 2, 3, and so on, if you start on the first step and go to the second step, that's a second. If you start on the first step and go to the third step, that's a third. If you start on the first step and go to the fourth step, you got it, that's a fourth. And so on until you get to the 8th step, and that's an octave, like an octagon, which has 8 sides. If you stay on the same step you're on, start on the first step and stay on the first step, that's a unison. So the unison and the octave are the only ones that aren't named for which step they are. The bigger numbers are the farther distances. So the near intervals are like unisons, that's very near, seconds, thirds, fourths. And when you get to the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 10th, and 11th, and 12th, those are all far. And they'll sound far, they'll feel far when you sing them. There are ways you can tell exactly which interval you're hearing. You can get used to it, for one thing. But there are also songs that go to the different intervals, like the ABC song, or Twinkle Twinkle, is a 5th. Twinkle, twinkle, that's a 5th. In order for those to be helpful, you need to know exactly how to do the specific interval on your instrument. And I will have a later video for fiddle, violin, viola, telling you how to do each interval. But for now, I'll just send you to this resource that I have, pairing the songs with the intervals. So you'll see which songs go with sixths and which songs go with octaves and so on. So be sure to visit that link to that resource. When you have a tune that you want to play by ear, don't be intimidated by thinking you have to learn the whole tune at once. Start with the first note, make a guess at what the first note is, and decide whether it's the same or different than the first note of the tune. If you decide it's different, see if you can tell whether yours is higher or lower than the first note of the tune, and then adjust your note accordingly. If you can't tell, make your note a little bit higher or a little bit lower and see whether that makes it better or worse. The key is to always play something. If you get it, you get it. And if you don't, you still have important information. You've found out what it isn't. And that's valuable too. Make a note of the things you try, and eventually you'll hit on the right note. And maybe discover a melody that isn't the tune you were trying to play. It's a really cool invention, all your own. If you'd like a guide to help you along the way, I am available. Just click the link below. But the key is to play. Play anything. And if it's right, it's right. And if it's wrong, you've still learned something. All right. That's all for today. Next time, we're putting it all together. See you then.